Greetings out there in YouTube land. This is Morris Man, and as always, I thank you guys for coming to my channel. And today I'm going to do a special quick hands-on video as far as the concept of my DVDs that I have for sale, still half price, $20, normally $40, and $2 in shipping. It's over 4 hours of me walking you through these chords that I teach you to play all these songs like I teach you, and then just the concept of playing rhythm guitar, because I've been playing since I was like 13 or 14. Excuse me, and I've been playing professionally since I was like 19 or 20. And I've been, written a lot of hit songs that still to this day that I hear on the radio. I've ghost written them. I was part of that plan, a program. So I've been around, and you know, it took me a long time to get to the point where I'm at as far as guitar playing, but it doesn't have to take you that long. And the only reason why it took me that long, because it took me a long time to find the right person or persons to kind of, you know, teach me in a logical manner, and it makes sense. And then they eliminated the fluff that unfortunately most guitar teachers teach you, because they don't do it deliberately to teach you or drag it out. They've been taught that way, and they just pass on the way that they were taught. And, you know, I figured out a way, you know, with the help of a gentleman from the Conservatory of Music, as far as we can make this easier, where it makes sense, because the reason why most people give up is because it doesn't make sense to them. And the DVDs are over close to 4 hours, where I walk you through a lot of different things. And here is my program in a nutshell. It can't get no simpler than this. If you learn 6 chords with 2 inversions, meaning they're just different finger rips of the same chords, you can play 90% of the stuff you want to play, and probably 100% of the stuff on the radio today, because those are usually only 3-chord songs. They rocking back and forth from major 7 chords to R&B stuff. You know, it's the R. Kelly stuff, and I'm not knocking R. Kelly. I personally know him, played Bahama when he was getting his career started in the 80s at the China Club in Chicago on Michigan Avenue. I was one of the band members. Played Bahama every night. So I got nothing but utmost respect for him. But the stuff that, you know, that I teach you, you can play all this stuff, because as you know, I got over 2,000 videos. And the majority of the big heavy hitters on YouTube, like Manic, Marty Swartz, and I love their channels. They got like maybe 700 videos, and they've been here for like 6 years. I've been here for less than 2.5 years, and I got over 2,000. And the reason why, because of the program that I applied to my plan, it worked, and it worked for you. Because here's the concept. Again, you just need to learn 6 chords, 2 different inversions. Most professionals like myself, we know about 5 or 6, but I rarely ever use even 3. The majority of the inversions is just 2. And here they are. The first one is built on the E string, then I'm going to build it on the A string. And for the sake of the illustration, I'm going to start right here on the E string on the G note. And here it is, just that simple. G major, G minor, G7, G minor 7, G major 7, and G suspended 4th. That's it to play just about all the songs you want to play. And you build those same chords with just different fingering on the A string. And for the sake of the illustration, we're going to build on the A string, C note. So it's C major, C minor, C7, C minor 7, C major 7, and C suspended 4th. And then the only thing you do is just move them up around the fret, you know, the guitar neck. So if this is a C major 7, slide it down 1, it's a G sharp major 7, or a D flat minor 7, you know, and just keep moving it down, so on and so forth. Same thing when you build them on the E string. Just move them up and down the fretboard. In my DVD, I teach you some more chords, like the 9th chord, which is something that you need to know, because 9th chords show up in a lot of songs. And then the diminished chord, which is a jazz chord, which you rarely ever hear unless you're doing jazz. And you can't get around playing jazz without knowing a diminished chord, augmented chord. So I walked you through some additional chords in the DVD lessons that will, these chords will kind of creep up. But for the most part, if you're doing traditional R&B, pop stuff, it's just these 6 chords that I just, you know, showed you. And they're pretty simple. I mean, here's a quick example of why it's important to know at least 2 inversions of a chord. Say, for instance, the song calls for an F major 7. And and that's the one that I built on the E string. But the song itself, the guitar player is playing F major 7 right on the A string. That's a totally different tone, but it's the same chord. So that's why it's important to know at least 2 inversions, because depending on what the guitar player is playing or the piano player is playing in that particular song, you want to be able to match that tone, because again, this sounds totally different from this. And the majority of the ballads, they build the major 7 chord on the A string. It's usually that one. It has a beautiful tone, because the majority of the time when we play, one of my bands, the R&B bands, we end our set with ballads. And we learned this a long time ago when we watched the older guys when we were younger. They ended it on a major 7 chord. Good night, we love you, thanks for coming out. You know, usually that. And it works for that, because this is one of those chords, the major 7 chords, with just a beautiful chord when you're strumming, as opposed to this. Good night, we love you. It just doesn't have the same feel. And this is a diminished chord, you know. Jazz chords are really interesting because, to me, and this is just my interpretation, that alone they sound terrible. You know, when you string it, don't sound like nothing until you put it into an arrangement, a jazz arrangement, then it works. But like chords, again, like the major 7 chord, it just sounds beautiful, you know. That's my favorite chord, aside from the C major 7 or the major minor 7. But you know, this one. So I thought it was important to stress that. That's the reason why you need to know at least 2 inversions, because depending on what the guitar player is playing on the recording, it's where you want to try to be. So if you just, you know, put in some time as far as practicing, you know, trust me, you will be able to play whatever you want to play. Because it's important to learn the basics, because I get people all the time telling me, you know, you just did a good job on that cover, when are you going to teach us the lesson? That was a lesson. You know, if you ask me that, that means that you need to learn the basics, because once I teach you the basics, you don't have to ask anybody how to teach you how to play a song, because you have all these songs that have these same chords that are in the DVD, that are in these songs. You know, so it's important to learn the basics as opposed to, and it's understandable, because some people don't know what they don't know, you know, as far as how do I learn, what are the steps to learn to play rhythm guitar. And the steps are not to have somebody just sit down with you and teach you a song and you memorize where you at, but you don't know what chords you're playing. What you want to do is learn the chords, and then you can play any song you want. And in my DVD, I also walk you through sheet music and how it's easy to decipher, you know, because people look at sheet music, you know, for the first time and just get overwhelmed, because, you know, the music teacher doesn't break it down to you. And it's real simple, you know, and it's just, and here it is. You know, when you first look at this, you say, man, I'm overwhelmed. I got the treble clef, the bass clef, and then I got these chord charts over the top. So where do I start? You can eliminate the treble clef, because all that is the melody, and that's for the singer, or for the piano player that's playing the melody when there's no singer. And the bass clef is just for the bass note. So unless you're playing piano, you ain't got to worry about nothing but these diagrams over the top. And they even give you the diagrams where you put your fingers. Because the sheet music today is improved over the sheet music of 10 years ago, because 10 years ago, nobody told you this, that 100% of the stuff 10 years ago, as far as the diagrams, were in first position. And when you're playing an R&B song, funk song, you rarely play in first position. First position is usually reserved for country and western and folk music, you know, the first 3 frets, you know, the first, you know, but nobody told you that. You know, you sitting up here playing the E minor 7 chord up here when you should be playing it down here, you know. So it's little things like that that is a big help to know, but nobody tells you this. Nobody told me that. One day I just figured it out. I said, you know what? I'm never playing up here according to the diagram, but the diagrams of today, they actually tell you, you know, sometimes 6th fret, 3rd fret, or whatever. So they're a little more accurate than before. But as far as sheet music for rhythm guitar player, just the chord charts over the top. That's it for you. Now for the piano player, it's a different thing going on for them, because they're actually doing 2 things at once. The treble clef, they play with their right hand, and then the bass clef, they play with their left hand. And sometimes they're either doing this, either or. They're playing the melody with this hand and the chords with this hand. Or if they have a singer, they're playing the chords with this hand and holding down the bass note with this hand. You know, so it is a little more involved for piano players, because I do play a little piano myself. But for guitar players, if you just know what I just told you, and I stressed in the DVDs for sale also, it's a piece of cake for you. I mean, the issue is the majority of the people that teaches you guitar, they don't teach you the basic stuff. They give you a whole lot of extra stuff that you'll never need, and they tell you that in order to play the stuff off the radio, you have to learn that stuff first. It's absolutely false. In my videos, which are close to 4 hours long, I give you more information than most music teachers give you in 6 months when you go to them twice a month at $60 a lesson. So that's like, you know, perhaps could be $120 a month, you know, several $100s in 6 month period. And you haven't learned half of the stuff that I'm teaching you in these DVDs for $20. Because I learned the hard way, as far as I went through many music teachers, and I got, you know, discouraged because I go to one thinking I'm going to learn something, and then they teach me the same thing the other guy taught me, which is really some stuff that I never use. So, you know, as a result of my YouTube subscribers asking me, they say, man, how can you play these many songs so quickly, and how can you, you know, could you show us or put together something for us to learn, you know, the way that you play? And that's how these DVDs came into existence or birth, you know, because of you guys out there, and I appreciate it, saying, you know, is there anything that you can teach me, you know, show me that I can become a good guitar player? So that's when, you know, this whole concept was born, because it's pretty simple once you learn and understand what you need to know. And it's not going to take you forever. If you put, you know, your time into it, you know, you will get results, because, you know, in my DVDs, I walk you through so many different things that, you know, most people don't even think about or take for granted, like how to get a good tone, how to, you know, get good action on your guitar, because action is important. You know, when I first started playing guitar, you know, I had a cheap Tasco, and the action was so high I could literally take my finger and put it up under the strings. And when you do that, when they so high, you got to press down, and doing that, it stresses your hands out. But if you have your action so low to the point where it's not yet buzzing, you can play for hours, you know. And a lot of people just don't teach you that, because they say you should be able to play, you know, regardless of the action. That makes your hands stronger. That's nonsense. You know, the lower it is, the easier it is to play, and the longer you play, and then you feel good playing. You know, so it's just little things like that. And another one is, don't go out there and get caught up in the marketing BS and go spend $700, $800, $1,200 on the guitar. That guitar back here, purple guitar that I've played on a couple of my recent covers, I only paid $40 for that guitar off eBay. I bought it because I like the color purple, but it's actually a pretty decent guitar. It sounds good. It has a deep, richer tone, because the majority of my Stratocasters have a bright tone. And like old school funk said, Larry, it's not the one, it's the wizard. You know, and I totally agree. You know, it's not about, you know, because you got a $900 guitar, you're going to be a better guitar player. Practice makes you a better guitar player. You know, so it's things like that that are not stressed in traditional ways of playing, but they're extremely important. And there's some people that don't know what they don't know, as far as differentiating between someone teaching you how to play your instrument versus someone showing you the chords because you can already play your instrument. That's a big difference. And the people that don't know one from the other, it's easy to know or indicated that they haven't learned the basics, because the basics is learning chords and playing the different inversions, and being able to look at the sheet music and say, okay, G minor 7, G major 7. You know, they know what they're doing. They know what they're supposed to be. And again, I can't stress more, there's a difference between the two. And avoid that tab nonsense, as far as begging people for tabs. Oh, you got the tab for that? Because you don't want to go that route, as far as just somebody showing you where to put fingers. You want to know why fingers are there. And once you dab into this DVD lesson program, you know why fingers are there. You know where you at. You know why you there. You know, as opposed to, again, you playing the chord, you don't know what the name of the chord, don't know why you're there. Because somebody just showed you to put your hand here, put your finger there, put your finger there. You don't want to go that route, you know. And I sometimes get messages or emails like this, and this is a pretty interesting one. Someone, I did an analysis on Jimi Hendrix playing, And my interpretation of Jimi Hendrix is, and this is just my interpretation, Jimmy was a freak of nature in a good sense. Jimmy conceived music totally different from everybody else. You could just tell by his playing. You know, Ron Woods of the Stones did an interview recently, and it was interesting. He said that he used to be Jimi Hendrix's roommate in England. And he said that most people don't realize that Jimmy played right-handed and left-handed. I didn't know that. I thought he was a left-handed, extremely good guitar player who turned over a right-hand guitar and started playing it. But actually, he could play both sides. And you got people that think they want to be Jimmy or trying to be Jimmy, stringing up their left-handed or right-handed guitar, left-handed or whatever. All you do is just becoming as a hack and a clone. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to steal anybody else's style. You know, you might initially want to, you know, start playing a familiar style of playing from your favorite guitar player, but at some point in time, you want to develop you and not spend a whole lifetime or years trying to play like another dude. You know, because there was only one Jimmy, and there will only be one Jimmy. And then, you know, I talked about how traditional guitar players do not use that thumb up here. You know, we put it here so we can finger, you know, our guitar as far as bar chords or playing kind of classical style. And Jimmy played with his finger up there. And I'm going to show you why that's not a good idea. Because first of all, Jimi, again, Hendrix playing was totally unique. You know, so that worked for Jimmy. But for most of us, we play traditionally, and there's a reason why you're taught a certain way. Because, you know, again, we play with that thumb down here, the base of the neck. And we were able to do this. If we slide that thumb up, and I do it again, if we slide it up, guess what? Now these fingers slide down. So now you don't have full extension of these fingers because that finger is way up here. And the reason why Jimmy did, because Jimmy had a unique, again, way of playing. And the chord that they deemed the Jimi Hendrix chord, which off the top of my head, I forgot it because I don't play that chord because the style of music that I play doesn't warrant that chord. But it did for Jimmy. Back in the 60s, he was doing the psychedelic rock thing, and you know, his hand was all over here, but for most of us, we playing traditional 70s, 80s, 90s R&B, pop or whatever. So, you know, it's not necessary for us to be finger way up here. But again, people get caught up into that. I want to play like my hero and be like him. And it's flattering to emulate your hero, but at some point in time, you need to become your own hero. You know, that's why I really don't do the solo thing, because I think that's a personal expression. That's just my personal opinion. You know, instead of trying to do somebody else's solo, I need to work on making me a solo. You know, so that's just, again, my opinion on that. But again, you know, if you're interested in the DVDs, 4 DVDs, close to 4 hours of me walking you through these chords here, how to read sheet music, how to learn structure of song, because again, that's extremely important to pick up stuff, because 95% of the stuff that's on my channel, I never heard before. You know, people send me requests of songs I've never heard in my life. But when I hear them, I can hear what the bass player's doing. I can figure out the chords in less than a few minutes, put it together, put a DVD on it, put the chords in there, I'm done. You know, so you can do the same thing. So again, if you're interested, inbox me. DVDs are $20, $2 shipping and handling. They go out the next day when payment is received. So on that note, until next time, take care. Thanks for watching.